Sunday afternoon again. We've didn't do last week with well, I was on holiday, very selfish of me. But we'll just start with the game last week. Lost 1-0 at home to Burscough.
Yeah, disappointing that, considering the chances we had, and particularly conceding the goal around the stroke of half time. To something we talked about, and we still are talking about, finishing moves off and not getting done on the break, and giving them opportunities to springboard us. And that happened. Second half, how we didn't score is sometimes bewildering, but also then you factor in that, they've got this fantastic keeper in goals who seems to save everything. And, we know he's on Everton's books and stuff like that. So he probably has got a great future, especially on that performance. So dusted ourselves down and, try not to be too down about it. And, it was beginning to see a bit like a bit snakes and ladders what we're doing. But thankfully yesterday we've got a result. So and then we had the midweek thing to deal with as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, just briefly touched on the Burscough game. I suppose it's one of them, isn't it? If the opposition keeper's man of the match, you haven't had a terrible game. You just not been able to find the back of the net.
That's right, and you're thinking when even Sean Kelly's power driving header, which is what we brought him in for, is a fantastic reflex save, and then the clearing stuff off the line, and things aren't dropping to us. You just think it's got to click sometime. So yeah, deservedly man of the match, but he didn't make it any easier. It's a long night sometimes when you don't mind if you get battered, but it's the opposite way around at home sometimes. So anyway, we and then we had, like I say, we had the West Didsbury and Chorlton game to negotiate as well. You see, so we quickly on to that.
An interesting game for many reasons, really. That the midweek game away at West Didsbury. It was I suppose first of all we addressed the sort of scoreline. It was with 3-0 down, but in the first half we had much. You'd say they started brighter, but we seemed to create a lot more chances. We just had a bit of an issue of finding the final killer ball on it.
This is it, and I mean, I've been asked all the time. I get stopped in the street or wherever, it doesn't matter where, and asking me to sum up the games. And the summary of the games recently is that I say that, here's the perspective. I've not heard it said much before, but we miss more chances than the opposition, which is a way of saying we create more, but we actually miss more, and they have fewer chances. They miss them as well, but then they score, and we still miss. So we've missed chances first half. We should have been 2 or 3 goals. I mean, Clark has missed, admittedly, he said he missed a point-blank header. Ball's come across the box, and it's actually, I don't know, Booth has sorted his feet out for the ball to Megzim or whatever happened in there. And it just didn't go in, and then 2-0 down, and we knew we were in it at half-time, and then we sort of did really well. We sort of pushed a little bit more. We had a word in the dressing room. I asked them, actually. I said, what do you think, really? Because I'm a bit perplexed. It's not, performance is not being reflected in the result. So we pushed on a bit more, and we'd start to dominate. And then, of course, they score an absolute worldie, which turns out to be the winning goal because we get it back to 3-2 and we can't force the winner. We ran out of time. So that was disappointing, but not as disappointing as the Burscough game somehow. Could live with it a bit better because, the Burscough game, we'd lost at home 4-0 the week before, which was another ridiculous game. And then Burscough game, you think the goals are drying up, but we scored 2. And then the second half, again, we've missed chances against West Didsbury. And then so it leads us in to yesterday's game. But there's another thing you want to talk about, isn't there, which I'm quite willing to speak about.
Well, I suppose, just to touch on it, just before move away from the West Didsbury game, we brought in Will on Wednesday night. For people who didn't get to the game, he put a good performance in for, I think it was actually his first appearance in men's football, you were saying. So he's a young lad who's come in, and obviously it's a bit of a change of things for the club as things happen, but he put himself back and had a good performance. Yeah,
and listen, I've seen the controversy that people are jumping up and down about, and people have got to get the right at what we're doing. I mean, we were terribly short on the ground, and so we are forced to try and get someone in. And this is the way we've talked about before. It's like running an Edwardian cricket team, this. And, they're off on expeditions to South America, and they're off shooting and all this sort of thing. So we're trying to form relationships. That's what Manx football through the whole thing should be doing. So it's quid pro quo with this stuff. And anybody that's got a parochial view needs to look at the bigger picture, because although we've given, we've given into this sort of ideal that it's got to be just Manx players. Well, I don't know who said that. But if you want to go right up the pyramid, you're going to have to start getting people in. I mean, do you think real Mallorca just play Mallorcans or what? So we bring people in when we're short, and we particularly for away games. And he's done us a favour, Will. He's played very well. And we've done them a favour, Holden, because it's his first senior game, as he said, man's football. And he'll always remember the Isle of Man for that, which is great, because wherever he goes in the world, and I'm sure he'll do really well, he'll talk about it. And we've got another thing going. I know people at Oldham, and they're willing to look at the kids we bring through, my little scheme, and hopefully we get that going. And they're not going to be, I know people like Terry McPhillips. I was at Halifax Town with him, who's running recruitment there at Oldham. And we can give these youngsters, because Oldham have agreed to it, they can go and play games for in their setup without having to comply with all the academy rules. So we can put them in and out. So building relationships with clubs like Oldham are vitally important, and all the other clubs do it. I mean, go back to the lad who's made up all those saves for Burscough, obviously from Everton, so they've got a relationship with Everton. So why shouldn't we have a relationship when we're short with Oldham? We're going to have to do that.
Just one
Simple
thing
as that.
Before we move from that, there was an interesting sort of taken from quite a few people of also that it's people in Manx football. There'll be some people obviously not able to through work and through family commitments, but some people who aren't interested in taking a step and trying to sort of see if they can mix it in the English leagues. Do you think that is also feeding into this still?
It could be. I mean, I can take my son, for example, Alex, who did very well in his football in his younger days. He was at Leeds United doing a few games there and training with their academy, and he played for the island in the Guinness, Island Games success in 2017, and he was involved with the Ravens. But as he was doing his development, in life, he found it tough to go over and sit on the bench. So it was easier to play for Peel, and things like that, and go over and not even get a game and sit on the bench. So it is tough. And some people are just, not engaged with it anyway. We go further than that. There's lots of players on the island who aren't involved. And there's some players that we might want who just don't want to do it. We've lost players who, I've left out for various reasons and have disappeared back into Manx football, as in disappeared from us. They're not obscure at all if they're in Manx football, and they prefer to do that. So, it's not like we've got a massive pool of players to choose from. Like say you've got people who are ill, work commitments, they are away for genuine reasons, they're injured. And quite rightly, if I'm picking players and they're on the bench every week, eventually they're going to run out of patience with that and maybe go back and play for whoever they are doing. So it's a really tricky one. So we've got to have that extra resource. And it's not like we're bringing players in to play at home, because we've always got players available at home, like Sean Kelly's struggling to play away games at the moment. So that's the way it is. And to try and help the club avoid relegation, because it was looking dire, and that's my job. And we'll do what it takes, and we're not far off now. We're seeming to, we're not clear yet, but we're, looking more like we're going to do it.
So just the final two things for midweek. First of all, did you have a view on what happened with Treg towards the end? There seemed to be a difference of opinion over what exactly was thrown in his direction, how he ended up on the floor?
Well, I think it was extended arms that maybe looked like punches from one or two people, but I think all this stuff, this coming together, and well, we used to call it handbags, didn't we? We'll probably get told off for that, for being somethingist. But it didn't look much, but there is this. I mean, it boils over occasionally, and it has to be sorted out. But I don't think it was anything from what. It's difficult to tell. I mean, it's like the Higgy case. I mean, I know there was a colossal mix-up with the admin for this, but when we appealed and look at the video, try as you might, you couldn't see what was going on. Slow it down, look, and melees with lots of people about, you can't see it. And even when you slow it down, you look at the VAR, they can't work that out. The professional stuff, they can't work out what's going on. So you've no bloody chance, really, of finding out what's going on, unless someone's actually flattened someone with a massive haymaker and you see it connect. So I don't know. I just think things get a little bit hot under the collar and it should be just diffused as it sensibly was.
And then just finally, from midweek into Saturday, how important do you reckon it was? Fair enough, we didn't get the point we arguably deserved on Wednesday night, but how important was it for the lads to have that thing where they come back against a team who are pushing promotion, they go a goal down on Saturday and then turn that round?
Yeah, look, I mean, tinker with the team a little bit and what we're doing. I mean, we're trying to play a five across the middle, but still having a springboard to attack with a three up top. And then on Saturday, thought, well, at home we're still getting done with balls in behind, which is all that South Liverpool seem to be doing. We still fell for it. So we're trying to put Clark in front of the two centre halves. So it's very important that we got to winning ways on the plastic. And, when you look, we've got 11 games in the next period with 9 at home. We've got to really put in performances like we did, like the lads did. I didn't do anything. Just stood there. But actually fielded the ball a couple of times, actually, as I was thinking about stuff. And, if we can put in performances in the next, 9 games at home, no matter who it is, because they're all much of a muchness. I'm not worried about who we play, because I've seen it all now. I mean, they're all the same. And we can match what we did on Saturday against, in the next 9 home games, we'll be all right. And I thought that everybody was brilliant Saturday.
Yeah, it was sort of one of them games where you could go across the whole team and find really good performances, but just sort of two that must have stood out for you a little bit, given your past as a winger, was Crookie and Steve, who were absolutely brilliant on the wide right and wide left.
Yeah, so this is it. So, I love 4-4-2, obviously being, obsessed with wing play and that, and it is the way to go. But they operated very well in that sort of going from a 5 to a 3, back to a 5, dropping deep, getting the ball, and particularly the composure of Steve when he gets it, and we talk about him helping us all get up the pitch by keeping the ball and dropping shoulders. And I mean, I think the groundsman has to come on groundsman. It doesn't look like there's been a groundsman on there for years, but they had to come on and twist that fullback out of ground at half time, because he absolutely twisted him in bits, twisted his blood, and second half he did as well. Take us more direct and put some great balls in as well. So we have that. Those two wide men doing that, it's great. And the goal for the Sean scored was equally as brilliant in its construction as the two worldies from Steve. So yeah, really big performances from the two wide men, with Jake putting that ball in. So that is good. But all round, there were good, solid performances. And second half, I mean, we really did pile the pressure on and deserved. I mean, it was. We fell asleep for the first 5 minutes of the second half. I know that, but another thing we've got to work on. But where we tried it actually, is I let Bassey have a big fizz at him at half time and see if it woke him up, but it didn't. I think it was only the goal that woke him up, and then after that we just battered them. To be fair,
well,
I think they made the mistake of settling for 2-2, didn't they? And then they just invited us on.
Well, it did seem to be something that I don't think I've seen for quite a while in the way that it was wave after wave of sort of the possession. There was nothing really until there's a couple of moments that they came forward with, but something that it was largely just a very dominant performance, especially after their second goal went in. There wasn't a lot coming back the other way. I know they brought on a Sifo out wide who caused a couple of issues for a bit, but aside from that, it was pretty much one-way traffic.
Yeah, and we started shooting again, because we'd lost our shooting boots, and there were some great strikes going in, and their keeper had a world in. I think a couple of saves he made, I was thinking here's a bit of deja vu here from the week before. But finally, that the winner was just out of this world. But, you pick those out, the two strikes. I don't think you see a better goal anywhere this weekend than that.
No,
Steve scored for them.
Steve's second. I think you'd have to go back quite some way to find a goal. Callum Morrissey referred to it as a tap-in, which was typical of Callum, but it was a fantastic it was just a fantastic goal to see.
Yeah. No, it's... But this is it, I'm not being funny. We do a lot of that in training, or we're trying to do, depending if we can get training, and I'm not being funny. He does that in training, and the more that they shoot, the more that they'll do it in training, the more they'll do it there. It's just getting that mentality, get a shot target, and they will fly in. But it was the run as well, where he evaded a couple of tackles, stayed on his feet, could have easily gone down, rode those tackles, and persisted, and then managed to get the shot off a little bit off balance. But I was pleased with everyone. So it was nice to have a nice weekend.
And then coming out of that, going into midweek, what is it you're hoping to see on Wednesday?
Well, I've got a report on them from my man across, and they do play an odd formation. So we'll be working on that. We're training tomorrow, so I'm expecting, because we've got Higgy back now after the fiasco of him being banned, not banned, and then banned again. So we've got another outlet, and Dean's fully fit now. He's got over his thigh and foot issues. So I'm hoping we've got a good, strong side out. It depends who's available, but we'll find out tomorrow. But again, we've got up to 30 points now, and we need to push on. And we'll go to Atherton first time, I believe, and we'll take the game to them. I just hope we just need to be a bit more solid. So I'm glad we've got people like Danny Gerrard back in there. Jow's now fit again. We've got a lot of midfielders. Clark is fitting into that role in front of the back four. So we've got a lot of cover. Kyle's back from his Franz Klammer impressions. So, we've got hopefully plenty of solidity in there to go and, make it difficult for them. And we'll still have goals in us, So we'll go on there and give it a really good go. I'm looking forward to it.
Brilliant. Well, we'll cheers for your time today, and congratulations on the win, and we'll see you on Wednesday night.
Yeah, all right then. Cheers, Sam.
Cheers.
Have a good one. Cheers, bud. Thanks. Bye.